I just drew the dragon when I was a little kid. I started drawing him when I was in about 4th grade. And I would draw his adventures on 8.5 by 11 paper that was folded in half and stapled up the side. And I did that from like 4th grade up through high school. When I was 19 years old, me and a couple buddies self-published our own comic called Graphic Fantasy, and that was the first time the character was in print as the dragon. He wasn't the Savage Dragon yet. The reason he ended up being called Savage Dragon in the comic was because we got a cease and desist from Dragon Magazine, who was like, we have a magazine called The Dragon, you can't call it that. And so I was like, all right, well, we'll change it for you because your readers are so dim that they're not going to understand the difference between a whatever, a superhero comic and a painted fantasy magazine.
Are they still around?
They are still around. I think they're still called Dragon Magazine. I don't know. I don't actually know.
Masters?
Yeah, it's like Dungeons and Dragons, and it's magazine size, and it's got painted covers of knights fighting dragons and all that nonsense. So we published a couple of issues of this graphic fantasy book. I got my character in print. And those stories that I did for that were kind of at the tail end of everything that I had done when I was a little kid. So they were like, that was the capper. And when I started doing Savage Dragon at Image Comics, my goal was to work my way towards those 2 stories that I had done already as a kid, so that basically I started one place and I got there. I'm going to start a different place and get to that same location. And then at that point, I could do whatever the hell I wanted to, but I felt like I needed to get to that. That was my goal. And that goal was like issue 63, so I'm considerably beyond that at this point. When I was a kid, I wanted to do this. This is a dream of having my character meet Superman. I drew this up fully expecting that I was going to draw this Treasury edition, and then that's about as far as I got because I didn't have any paper that was that big. So I just drew the cover, and I was like, well, I don't know what to do with this. So my grandma really liked it, so I gave it to my grandma, and she had it up on her wall, and it was there and forever, and then eventually they died, and it was like, all right, back to you, kiddo. But this was it. This was my dream, and so this, I think I was probably 19 years old, maybe 18, 19 when I drew that, and that's my house ended up burning up in 1991, and all the comics I drew as a little kid were gone. So this is one of the few surviving old dragon things that exists. I don't have anything back when he used to have a cape and gloves and stuff like that. He was originally actually a ripoff of Batman. If you can imagine, there was a little mask hole that was there, and then he had a green mask and a green cape and flesh-colored that. He still has this Batman utility belt going on there. That was the only thing that remained from that. And then eventually I just got tired of drawing the cape and all that other nonsense. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to make it that it's part of the dude.